going to use this, this is called bilateral fiberglass. It's got no, well, it's bound together with thread rather than glues or powders that the chop strand has, like here. So we're going to use this for the mirror, and I'll go over to Mockingjay now, and I'll show you what we're going to do in this stage of the repair. We've kind of done the side or the holes, and that's actually pretty strong. I'm really pleased with how that's gone. Now there's a few places where this is a bit higher and a bit lower, so we are going to need to fair these areas, but it's not much to do, and it's all good experience, isn't it? Now what we've got to do now is this gap here. So the first thing we've got to do, I'll show you inside in a minute, but the first thing we've got to do is fill it on the inside of here to make this nice and strong and bound in. Then what we've got to do, once we've done that and that's dried, we're going to sand this. We're going to then fill this, maybe with fiberglass, so we can attain this flat edge here, ready for taking this keel band. Once that's done, you know, the boat's ready to go. Oh, and then today what we may do is on the inside of here, where the plates are that run just a little bit outer, we may put a little bit of fiberglass reinforcement on there. It just depends if I need to sand a bit more. Well, we'll have to see. Now the only issue I've got here is this little crack here, which I didn't realise it was so cracked here, but it is good, and I think what we may need to do is have a little look at where that comes through, and if it is a problem, we'll just have to fiberglass on the back of that as well, but we'll have a look at that when we look inside now. So you can see why I needed this little hatch. So here's the edges of these plates, which might need a little bit of fiberglass, but we do probably need to get those sanded a bit more, do we? Don't know, we'll see. It'll be hard to get a sander in there now, but you can see there's the gap, like there, and this is a bit we need to fill it up, so it's like that. I'll show you the front there, and like that. Just need to fill that over and make that nice and strong with some nice fiberglass. Here's where the crack would be. See, it doesn't go all the way through, but we could just fiberglass up the inside of that while we've got the fiberglass out and make that good. But other than that, we're looking good so far. I didn't want to take the roll off the shelf because I know everything else is just going to end up tipping down, and I'll never get this roll back on. Just check that's okay there, yeah. We need 8, 4 mil each side, so 8 down. Then we'll get some more strips out of there. And then we need it 46 long. So that will be, I'm just going to chop this edge off here. So say 46 will be about here. So let's do that bit first. Just take this little edge off here, I think, there we go. There we go. This is the tape, proper mirror dinghy tape that goes around the whole boat. There he is. I mean, is that a better option than doing it with this? I just figured that this tape would be better, that this would be better than the tape, but now I've got the tape out, I am wondering whether it might be better to do the first piece with this tape and maybe do a reinforcement piece with the outer edge. But that doesn't look very much, does it? It doesn't bridge a gap very well. This is going to be a bit difficult to show you with my hands in that hole and the camera, so I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to show you after I finish the job. Right, let's show you what we've been up to. So you can see there's a strip went in along there, then the second thicker strip went in along the top, and then we've just reinforced that side there where there's a possible crack, but it's not all the way through. But we've reinforced that side there, which should be more than enough. I'm not going to do these edges yet. I'm going to let this dry. We've got a really nice, got that really nice, and I don't want to disturb it. So yeah, we'll let that dry, and then we'll attack the rest of it. There we go, looking very good. That's looking good. What we need to do now is fillet that, and this is a little bit tacky, so it's perfect for doing that job now. So that's what we're going to do next. There you go. So I've got like quite a thick consistency here. This is 406 filler, and hopefully I've got enough. And this is setting quite quickly, so we're going to get this on in that fillet, and then we're going to use this spatula to hopefully get it nice and straight. Alright, we're just going to make these little holes good. There you go. So I've got a little bit of shape in that. So essentially this I've got to repair from here. This I could now repair with little discs on this side of the boat, but I can actually backplate it, but it's quite awkward. We will backplate it, but we'll get that done. And now here, look, you can see I'm gonna try. No, it's not. No, it's not set. So once that's set, we'll fill that with 404, and then we'll get this sanded down. It'll just be a case of getting it sanded until it's ready. Wow, wow, that is solid as a rock. Now this fillet has been put in. So actually, I forgot, but I got this 407 low density filler. Now it is for fairing, that's why I've bought it, to fair the hull of the boat, which is going to be the last job. But this is also really good. In fact, I've got the thing up here. It's also really good for fairing and filling voids, and it's easily sanded. So gap filling sanding, and you see it's not the best. 409 and 410 are best for that, but 407 is good for that. So I was just cutting up my, let's switch the lights on. I was just cutting this up, and it's quite difficult to cut it into the thin strands without it all falling apart. So I figure we'll make some 407 up, and we'll fill those gaps with the 407. I think that's going to be the best way. So let's crack on and do that. That's it. You can see when it's full, because it starts to sort of balloon out a tickle. Just work it in. That's it. There we go. We just need to make sure this sits proud enough so that we've got enough to sand. Right, I'm going to use the rest of this just to fill these little voids as well in here. May as well get cracking on these up now. There we go. So I didn't want to put any in here. This is a little bit lower than the rest of the hull, but I didn't want to start fairing it until I'd done all of this and we know where we stand. These should be quite easy, this one and this one here, to do because they're quite thin, so there should be, in theory, quite easy to get nice and flat. This one's going to be a bit more difficult, so I don't want it to appear like there's a ripple or a divot in the hull, but we're just going to have to work at it. I did this little gap here, but this one I'm going to do with a little bit of fibreglass before we probably fair it anyway. So yeah, so that one I've left. I'm just going to scrape that little bit off in the middle, just sort of there, and then we just got to wait for this to dry. It is, but you know, I think if we take baby steps, I think we're going to get her there. The best thing about this though is that the repair itself feels really solid, so I'm really chuffed with that. Oh. As you can see, I've taken a turn for the worse. I'm not feeling great at all, but the weather is sunny and dry outside, so I'm definitely going to try and push on and get Mocking D sanded. Hopefully all this won't affect my chest, but we're going to go out there and we're going to get that hull sanded and we're going to see where we get it to today. Right, so we're going to start off with some P180, see where we get with that. I think P120 will be a little bit too rough. Let's have a go. Oh yeah, super smooth that. We're going to do now, we're going to have a little look, get some flexible wood and then scrape some fairing along there to get these looking quite nice. I may have to sand this back a little bit more though. this looks pretty good. Yeah, really good. So does this. Just this little tickle bit at the top there. Right. Let's hope this works. It's not bad. You can see where that dips. There we go. I think that's about there. Right, we've got a bit of sanding to do today. This side, I think this is going to be literally there. This bit is pretty flat and will be there. This, I think we're going to have to do a little bit more on. If you look at the shape of that, you can see there's a little twist here still. And if you put this against it and then flatten it both sides, oh, I can't do it with one hand, but you'll see there's still a little gap under here, so I think we'll need to fill this little bit, but we'll sand away and we'll crack on and we'll do as much as we can do, and I think that's the case with this sort of job. You just have to keep sanding, applying until you get to a point where you can't really tell any more difference. So let's crack on. There we go, that'll be ready for sanding. Same with, you can see just where you sand, sometimes we need to just fill these little sort of rough edges so we can sand them down a little bit better. To get a nice smooth edge. Hopefully we've done enough. Gonna have to let that dry again and see if we can get that a little bit closer to where we want it.